I'll make this recommendation again. If you don't have YouTube television, you're making a horrible mistake. It's the best way to watch linear TV. And they now have on the iPad a quad split. So you can watch ABC, CNN.
When you say on the iPad, you have to watch it on the iPad?
You can. The quad split does not exist on the iPhone, but it does exist on the iPad.
Okay.
So
all right, that's a good pro tip.
So there's Fox News, CNN, MSNBC, and the fourth one they fill with BBC. And you can talk, you just double tap and the audio jumps around. It's spectacular. So I'm watching at the gym this morning thinking, well, I'm gonna catch up on World War III before we start. So here's what they're covering. MSNBC is covering, apparently there's something called the NHL hockey something. There's a team from Florida that won the Stanley Cup. Fox is covering the Idaho murder trial. CNN, most trusted name in news, is covering the Karen Reed jury deliberations. And BBC was covering Ukraine. At least that's a news story. Anyway.
By the way, can I make one point here, Mark? I still don't know what the Karen Reed. I don't know if I just tune it out.
You and I both. We're going to get through the verdict without ever knowing. She ran somebody over, her husband or somebody.
It's a cop, right?
Anyway, I don't know. In any event, I'm kind of amazed the world is not transfixed here. President Trump continues to deliberate. They've widely put out, I wouldn't even call it a leak. They're just telling people he's thinking about doing this. And what this is unknown. I hope there are people staking out the base in Missouri where the B-52s would leave from, because that would be a good tell. But he faces this decision. The main thing that's happened overnight is the Iranians, both the Ayatollah and their UN ambassador, have come out and defiantly said, do not threaten us, Mr. President. Here is CNN reporting on the Ayatollah's statement 103, please.
This threat let the Americans know that the Iranian nation is not one to surrender, and any military intervention on their part will undoubtedly result in irreparable damage. His remarks come.
Okay. Here's more.
By the way, last night he puts out this statement that we're going to rain all sorts of craziness in the next 24 hours, and nothing happened. I thought that was a big mistake tactically. If you're going to start telling people that you can do stuff and you don't do it, I mean, they fired 10 missiles. I think that doesn't that undermines their credibility going forward. So I think in fact, I would look at, if I were President Trump, and go, all right, if that's their idea of a threat.
Yeah. Although you could say the same thing about the president if he doesn't drop bombs on them. All right. Just a couple of things more from the Ayatollah. 104, please. This is one of the tweets. The U.S. president threatens us with his absurd rhetoric. He demands that the Iranian people surrender to him. They should make threats against those who are afraid of being threatened. The Iranian nation isn't frightened by such threats. And one more from the Ayatollah, number 105. Obvious reference to the Cheap Trick song. It is wise to tell the Iranian nation to surrender. What should the Iranian nation surrender to? We will never surrender. That's the Cheap Trick reference. In response to the attacks of anyone. This is the logic of the Iranian nation. This is the spirit of the Iranian nation. Dan, does President Trump have any option now but to go forward with helping Israel destroy Iran's nuclear program?
I don't see how, but I actually read those tweets as somewhat good news, because he is not threatening to respond. He's saying there'll be irreparable damage to our relationship. Okay. I actually wonder if he is signaling we are not going to hit back. If there's a shadow war, you're going to take out Fedora, but don't go any further. Don't decapitate the leadership. We won't do anything. I don't know how Trump backs down now. I think Netanyahu and the Israelis would freak out. I think they would absolutely lean in as hard as they could to try to pressure him. But I think Trump and J.D. Vance are appropriately nervous, because both of them rose on being against forever wars, and they are staring a new one in the face.
Sean, I totally disagree respectfully with Dan. I think it's easy. It's not a forever war. You give a speech and you say, I've made it clear, my solemn pledge to all the American people is they can never have a nuclear program. Israel's done a great start at destroying it, but they need our help. This mission is not about the Iranian government. That's up for the Iranian people to decide. It is a limited mission that was launched, 24 hours ago, secretly, to destroy a nuclear program. The Iranians have cheated. They can't have these weapons. Thank you very much. No troops on the ground. good night, good luck. Iranian people, we love you. Do the right thing.
I think the problem, and Dan brought this up yesterday, is then what, right? So first of all, I'm not convinced that it is entirely limited to the big Buster bomb. Like there are other tactical ways in which I think the U.S. could look at this, which would be less sort of shock and awe. But the big question that I think a lot in MAGA world are asking is then what? Like, I get it.
Then they don't have a nuclear program.
But
right,
Mark, what if they hit one of our bases and 300 Marines are dead?
Then we decimate them.
Right, and I think everybody look.
And then what?
The issue. I from a situation room discussion standpoint, it goes, okay, what are our options? Boom, boom, boom. This is what we can do. Okay, got it. So everyone agrees to the tactics that we can use. But then the conversation immediately turns to then what? And I get this is where I think Dan's right, which is the MAGA world is divided. When they're going to say, well, Mr. President, Israel is willing to go in and do this, and the Saudis are willing to do this, and he says, yeah, but if this doesn't go right, and they do this, this, and this, and there's enough people in his ear that are telling him, there's other possibilities that we may own this thing, and you're gonna get yourself into another Iraq, another Vietnam. I think this is the problem, that he can get himself over the first decision, like most people. I don't think I think that if you look at the divide in MAGA world, there's less of a divide about taking out the nukes or their capabilities rather. And then there's a bigger threshold question of then what?
Then nothing. This is look, Dan, Iran could take the part of the reason this needs to be done is Iran could do that today. They could attack an American military base today.
Why haven't they?
Well, they've attacked Israel.
But
they
Mark,
for whatever reason.
But there needs to be. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Well, look, we can't let them continue to have their capability. They don't seem to be serious about negotiating. This president, you talk about fighting with MAGA. If he does a deal that's not airtight, that would be bad politically for him too. You talk about Vietnam, you talk about Iraq. He's not going to put Americans on the ground.
But Mark,
it's just there's no endless war here. Yes, sir.
Well, but I think you're painting a rosy picture, which is there won't be any troops, there won't be any money. There won't. But hold on a second.
But there won't be. It's not a rosy picture. There won't be.
But there.
You know what the funny part is? The funny part is I'm with Dan on this. I actually think
I accept that the bombing could cause chaos and bloodshed throughout the country. I accept it, but I don't accept letting them continue to be the #1 exporter of terror and moving towards building a nuclear weapon.
They say that something that's easy is like a walk in the park. Well, easier than a walk in the park, hit the subscribe button, be part of the two-way community, never miss an episode, be part of our conversations. Thank you for your service to America.